Field gunning, the toughest team sport in the world. 18 men locked in a balletic whirl of power and movement, combining steel, sweat, muscle and timber. The sheer speed, strength, complexity and rhythm of which almost defies the naked eye. Lion-hearted men explode with energy, stretching every sinew, every nerve and every blood vessel in order to manhandle an awkward, inflexible, unforgiving 12-pound gun and limber weighing over a ton, over, under and across obstacles and an imaginary chasm at a foolhardy pace. However, these are just ordinary men, 6 months earlier doing ordinary tasks within the fleet. So how can they be transformed into super-fit, single-minded pieces of a three-dimensional poetic jigsaw, each willing to be pushed to the limit and beyond? Even the most determined and dedicated preparation may not guarantee final selection, because the attributes required to join these men of men are exceptionally high. Consequently, many volunteers return to the fleet, unsuccessful in their bids. Those who are finally selected will be required to increase their efforts yet again, whilst racking their bodies to peaks of fitness which they are unlikely to have thought possible. Training to be a field gunner is an arduous process. It takes many months of self-sacrifice and dedication, culminating in extremely intensive training here at HMS Daedalus. Field gun staff somehow have to choose their team from the many hopefuls. So what type of man will succeed where so many will fail?
What we're looking for in a field gunner is someone who is very fit and very strong and has the ability to offset the onset of fatigue. Therefore, in the gym tests, we're putting these guys through terrific physical stress. And from that, we will select the sort of guys that we want to take part in field gun, or the sort of guy who can actually take part in field gun and go through the rigorous training without petering out at an early stage.
Of intelligence that's gathered by the trainers the year before, and we will usually find out that if someone is keen to field gun, they will take the trouble to come down to see us and to make a few more inquiries about field gunning, other than just filling in a C240. That usually shows someone who is keen to do the job. We'll also look at the section they're working on and how long they've been working there and whether they're good at their professional job. Because it's fairly obvious that the people who make good field gunners are also good men out in the fleet. They're usually, unfortunately, the key person on a squadron. And so many times have I heard as divisional officer telling me that I could have any man on his section other than the one man that I actually wanted. It's an unfortunate trait of field gunners. They seem to be very good at their job as well. When we've selected the names from the shortlist of those C240s that we like to look at, we travel out to the parent air stations and look at the men training in their ordinary training routines at their parent air stations. This will help satisfy us that the men required are going to be physically large enough. It's no good having a 3-stone, sort of 4-foot high weakling. And also that they're training hard, and they really are dedicated, and it's not just a spoof. When we are satisfied of that, we will come back again and set up various fairly rigorous fitness tests, in particular with our favourite Telegraph logs that we've got, which is a very good team effort test. The men have to run around with a log either on their shoulders or hanging from their hands, and they very quickly learn the importance of working together as a team. And through tests such as that and other standard PT tests, we're able to get a reasonable idea of how fit the men are and how good they are at working as a team.
Selection is critical and grueling. They are invited to participate in the Hoyle test.
The much feared Hoyle test, well really it's not so feared, the lads quite enjoy it. It's an enormous competitive event that takes place in the gymnasium when we get all the volunteers together and we put them through a series of exercises really which are made into a competitive event. There may be as many as 10 or 15 events taking place in the gymnasium or the indoor games area at once, and in each team will be about 5 or 6 guys, and because it's a competitive event, hopefully they'll enjoy it, and because they're working one team against others, because they want to be selected for field gun, they'll give it everything they got.
It is the culmination of all their training and the final selection, if you like, of the blokes who have been selected so far. So there may well be 60 people in the gymnasium competing in this major, if you like, it's a knockout event, and it's not exactly like you see on the television, it's a bit more difficult. And then they go on for the best part of an hour and a half, and during that time the first trainer, second trainer and other people will be watching should the first trainer wish to ask their advice or their opinion, and during that time he will make his final assessment of the way the people have competed, the way they've supported their team members, the way they've got up after something's fallen on top of them and had a go at it again, the way that they've competed up on the last event. Did they do it as enthusiastically and energetically as they did on the first one? Have they got that bite, that bit that he wants to see? He knows they're physically fit and strong because he's assessed them all through the last few weeks. And now he's just looking for that final bite before he makes his final selection, because he's only allowed 40 out of that large number of men.
We look at individuals. We're looking for his physical fitness, his strength, but above all we're looking at the person himself, whether he is capable of, should we say, operating under stressful times, or operating when he's tired, when he's under pressure. Is he still capable of thinking? So you're looking at that man. You take him down to Lyon Saumatier, and we put him through 10 weeks of training on the track with the gear, where we'll do runs or bit drill or anything like that required to get him so he is, although he's thinking, he still knows what he's got to do next.
The survivors of the Hoyle test join the field gun all ranks mess at Daedalus. Initially deserted, the track and galley soon come back to life with the influx of this year's crew. However, no amount of resuscitation could resurrect the previous year's Last Supper. Training the crews now starts in earnest. Earl's Court is only 70 days away, and there is a great deal to do. First of all, the final 40 men have to be divided into A and B crews. Each has a dedicated trainer, who is a cross between Claire Rayner and Blackbeard. It's up to them to select their best man for swings, angel, slat numbers and wheels. The choice is vital, and the pressure is on to get the right man for the right job.
Personally, last year I sat down with David Williams, who was the trainer, and we had a discussion. And he said, "Well, I think you've got to do this. You've got to do this. And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, you've got to do this. You've got to do this." And we sat down with say 40 people, well, about 28 people that was there, ready to go. And I said, right, all of you, put a wheel on your shoulder. And I just looked at them 2 at a time. And then changed shoulders and looked at them again. And it's the ones that was capable of running with a wheel, and they look comfortable. And then you just try other bits of drill. And then you say, right, then 2, I can have 2. They're the best 2 that's for wheels, so we're going to have to leave them alone now. Another exercise for Angel, it's who's got the balance. Because that's what an angel, you can teach an angel most other things, but he's got to have natural balance. And if he hasn't got natural balance, he'll never make an angel because he'll keep falling off. So you're looking for a person that's strong enough to lift that temper out of the hole, get down into a splits position, and get onto a traveller and go across. So you practice with 3 or 4 people, 4 or 5 if need be, until you find one that's got that natural balance.
After selection, it's all about learning. Learning about the equipment, learning about how to concentrate, learning about working with and relying on others. But most of all, it's learning how to manhandle over a ton of equipment at breakneck speed, safely.
Doing, isn't it? Hand, the position of a hand has to be on the right-hand side, over grass as opposed to under grass. But foot has to be, the left foot has to be forward, and the right foot back, certain positions at certain places, all in the first trainer's head. And he imparts that knowledge to them, each individual member, as he comes to each part of the journey. He says, now, when we get to this stage, guys, you'll do that bit, you'll do this bit, and let's go back and do it slow motion, and then a bit quicker, and then a bit, check, that's wrong, you changed your hand, you've got it in the wrong place, or the finger's out of line. It's all that precise, and it goes on until it all fits into place, and gets faster and faster. And we hope nobody gets their finger out of place, and we're doing it very fast.
The bit drills progress with the trainers fussing around like mother hens. They must encourage faster times whilst retaining confident and complete control throughout. They order every action and must anticipate any failure of man or equipment. And as the pace quickens, there are some men who do not make the grade.
Well, we try and make it as hard as possible, to be honest, without killing the guys. But you've got to test their courage and stamina and their determination, really. And that is the difference between there's someone who gives up on the 3rd or 4th time round the circuit, as opposed to someone who keeps going and going and going. And that is basically what we're looking for, determination and courage to keep going.
Obviously you get a lot for by the wayside. There's a lot of people that are strong who cannot or will not act under pressure. When they get tired, they say, oh, that's it, I've had enough. I've had blokes come to us who are 6'6", built like the old hourglass, and he's got all the attributes, all the physical attributes, and yet when he gets hit, he goes, don't like that, and walks away, shies away. And he then becomes a liability. If he's shying away from getting hurt, then he might cause an injury to somebody else. And we don't have that ability now to put that man under the pressure. You get 5'1" bloke who's only got one job to do, and he'll get hurt, and he'll get up, and he'll go on, and he'll get hurt, he'll get up, and he'll go on. Now, you normally find that the little man has got the big heart, and the big man sometimes also has a little heart.
Considering how grueling it is, why then do they volunteer?
Why? I think it's the challenge for me. It's definitely the challenge, and it's so different from normal naval life. It really is. You know, the atmosphere is totally different, and it's hard. It is hard, I'll give you that. And you take a hell of a lot of batterings the first time round, and you think some days you think, Christ, I'm not coming back to do this. But then some days when things are going well and you're running well, you do want to come back.
I can't explain to anybody why I feel like I do the field gunning. It just gives me a big buzz. I really find that field gunning is the thing, the sport. It just takes you over.
If the sport is so personal and self-indulgent, then of what benefit is it to the Navy?
Part of our selection procedure was to go to HMS Royal Arthur, where leadership training is carried out in the Navy. And there the general impression was that an ex-field gunner is well worth his weight in gold. It was very obvious that people were ex-field gunners. They could pull together the rest of their course. They produced excellent course morale, spirit, good parties, and everything that went with generally having a fun group of people working together. That's obviously what a man learns from field gunning, and what he will take back to his section on the fleet. He'll take back that thorough understanding of the importance of teamwork, of working with his fellows, and of being able to inspire enthusiasm in people he works with as well.
As a small part of the whole, each man relies on the others for his safety. If one small mistake is made, then the implications could be disastrous. After all, the equipment that's being tossed around like matchboxes is actually heavier than most family cars.
The Navy get a better guy once he's been committed to field gun. He's become a member of a team. He knows what teamwork's all about. He's seen the other team working around in the workshop staff, the office staff, even the chefs, everybody that works together. He's seen it all come together to make one unit that functions efficiently. He's seen efficiency at a first-class standard. It makes him confident. It makes him loyal. If he's not loyal already, it produces a great deal of loyalty out of him. It encourages him to operate independently and individually, to be forward-thinking. He's a much sounder, better bloke to return to the fleet, and he's more likely to become a leader in that environment than he might have done beforehand.
There is no extra pay or profit for taking part in this outrageous sport. Merely the challenge of participating, and the spin-off is completing the most difficult practical leadership test ever devised.
The Navy themselves, in my opinion, gets back a man who is capable of being a leader. He is, the motivation and the discipline is all self-motivation, self-discipline. And therefore, they're getting back a man that's been tried and tested under pressure, and he can still operate. And basically, that's what we're all about. We are servicemen. There's very little occasions where we do get put under pressure. And if we have to go in, God forbid, to a state of emergency or anything like that, we want to know that the people who's beside us can operate under pressure. And I believe that a field gunner is that person.
The motivational and encouragement skills of the staff are sorely tried as they cajole and will the crews to become more effective. And although a crew are designated as the first team, there is no sentimentality, and if a man cannot keep up, then he is out. And there are a team of ready-made replacements more than willing to step into his place to take the acclaim at Earl's Court.
The PDI's job at field gun is to produce a strong and healthy team, fit team, that have a great depth of stamina, that he can then hand over to the first trainer and say, there you are, they are the fit, strong men that you want to train for field gun. Once the first trainer's got them, then their training, or their physical training, as it has been up to them, becomes a little bit in the background, because they are then into the technical learnings of what actually field gun's all about, and they spend hours and hours on the track slowly putting it together, etc. However, they do get a PT session a day, and it is then my job to take them away out of the field gun environment and exercise them to make sure their stamina is kept at the level it is, their fitness is kept at the level it is, and their humour is kept at the level that it should be, because it's a sort of game which can really get through you. After a very long, arduous hours on the track, it can get through. And so we need to relax, and we need to be able to find how to enjoy what there is to be enjoyed, such as singing, such as skylarking, such as throwing each other in the sea, anything you like, making a bit of fun out of a session. And so although they work hard during their PD sessions, hopefully they enjoy them as well.
7 sons he had, 7 sons had Father Abraham, and he never laughed, and he never cried. All he did was go like this, with a lad, and a right, and a right, and a left, and a left, and a right, and a right. Father Abraham, 7 sons he had, 7 sons had Father Abraham, and he never laughed, and he never cried. All he did was go like this, with a left, and a right, and a right, and a left, and a right, and a right, and a nod, and a nod, and a ooh, and a ooh. Rabbi, Father Abraham, ooh, 7 sons he had, ooh, 7 sons had Father Abraham, ooh, and he never laughed, ooh, and he never cried, ooh, all he did was go like this.
Having now worked up an appetite, the crews assault the galley in a determined fashion. What then is the nutritional plan?
Some of them like a big breakfast, and some of them just have Wheaties. But they can have what they want, basically. Some will have 4 or 5 poached eggs. Some of them. This trainer wants plenty of stodge inside them, but there's no sort of plan at all. Basically, they have a joint every night, which is about 50 pound of meat. At lunchtime it's very difficult. They just have a light snack, which consists of a roll, ham salad sort of thing, chips and soup, because they're running straight away after lunch. But in the evening, yeah, they do eat a lot. You're talking about, I don't know, 5 or 6 slices of beef, a pound of greens, 8 or 9 potatoes each. So it's quite a lot.
Yeah, the choice varies. It's a wide choice.
It is very good.
Yeah, it is good.
Plenty of it, that's the main thing.
What are the messing facilities like?
Adequate for, like I say, it's a close crew. So, you know, eat together, sleep in the same area. It's all right, yeah. The messing's all right.
You share everything?
You don't share women, no. No.
It's a very competitive atmosphere, totally, all the time. There's 18 blokes selected for the A crew, and there's 80 blokes steaming behind them who want to take their place. There's the second trainers to train them up and they're ready to go. And there's a competitive element all the time. It can get tense, it can get very tense. And it can get snappy, and it can get argumentative, long drawn out days. And as the first trainer mentioned earlier on, it is all to do with discipline. We don't, if there's an argument ensuing, then either the lads will say it themselves, or the first trainer says, cut it out, it stops. There is no punching, there is no arguing, just very minimal. It's all brought to the surface, let's talk it out, finish.
It's now that the men's health is at most risk and injuries are commonplace. However, the toughness and resilience of the gunmen is legendary, and there are few completely disabling accidents.
If you can survive for as long as possible without any injuries, then you'll get the consistency, and consequently you'll get the win that you want. But you know, you need a lot of luck on your side, because I've had some close shaves, and I've had 2 injuries in A crew.
Fortunately, they were not serious. However, one man in B crew did manage to break his arm. But how does his sympathetic partner feel about it?
Me personally, I'm over the moon because it means I get on.
With hindsight, why did you volunteer?
Well, basically, I've always thought about joining the gun crew for quite a while. But, I mean, I thought, as the opportunity was there, I thought I'd take it with both hands. Well, with one hand, as I say. You know.
The OA's job, his function in life is to, A, be in charge of the whole workshop business, that's the the chippy and the rigger. He is responsible for the whole workshop complex.
OA stands for Ordnance Artificer. It's a name associated with field gunning traditionally. Basically, I'm here in support of field gunning full-time in the workshops with 2 other staff to repair and support field gun and field gun materials.
He is a very skilled man, yeah.
He's basically a welder, fireman turner, heavy plate metal, sheet metal work. We break them, he fixes it.
Yeah, the problem we encountered yesterday was when the barrel's launched out of the carriage, it's launched out at an angle so that it glides straight across the chasm. The problem with B Crew yesterday was it was a bad launch and the handle of the breech mechanism caught on the brass eyepiece at the bottom of the trail. This bent the handle underneath the brass stop at the bottom of the breech and jammed it. And when the crew